This episode of the Long Run Podcast is sponsored by Skechers.
Well, hello, everybody. It's us. We're back. It's the Long Run live stream and podcast brought to you by Skechers and the FORDY Runs running community. I'm Ian Wilkerson. This is a place for news, views, and everything else that everyday runners need to know. And hopefully we'll have a few laughs along the way as well. Tonight, as well as the usual shenanigans, we have a special guest, Mr. Adrian Chong, who is here to tell us all about his phenomenal experience of running the Marathon Des Sables a couple of weeks ago, 250 kilometers over 6 days through the Sahara Desert. And anybody who's looking at the thing now can see he's looking really well on it. I'm well impressed. I mean, I'd still be in bed, I should think, 2 weeks later. So thanks ever so much for coming, Adrian. Well, I'm looking forward to having a great chat with you a little bit later on. So thanks very much for coming. And we've had a week's break. Last week was Easter, so we put together a bit of an email special. Perhaps it won't be invited into any sort of greatest hits compilation, but we do our best for you. We try and keep it the whole show ticking over. And now we are back live, beaming into your computers and on your podcast in Spotify, Apple, Amazon, wherever you are. And Chris, it has been a particularly busy time, hasn't it, mate?
Yeah, I mean, Koja Zampo to all our listeners and viewers in Bhutan. I think that's
big
a big
news.
shout out.
Big
Koja
news.
Zampo, that's hello, how are you in whatever the dialect is out there. But yeah, so it's been a busy week. You know what? It sounds funny, right? But don't like life just seems to be rushing away from you. Not to start on a downer, but it's just like mental this week.
Is this brought on by the fact it was your birthday last week, mate?
Yeah, and I still think I'm like 21.
Oh yeah.
But actually I'm not. I probably act about 15, think I'm 21, but I'm well not that. And it's like, I don't know, even like another marathon training block's like coming to an end, and you're just like, oh man. I'm in that period of my marathon training block where it's like 50-mile week again. And I know it's nothing for Adrian, he's like my hero, but it's just like, you know, you're just slogging it out.
Yeah.
And you're like, a bit like that. All right, I'm probably eating too much chocolate. There's probably an element of that. But yeah, I don't know. It just life seems to be going too fast. So I'd like to hit the pause button and rewind a little bit.
Yeah.
That would be pretty awesome. But anyway, doesn't matter. So I told you a bit of a down. Anyway, more importantly, can you let us know in the comments how you're doing, how your week's been, whether you've been running over a desert or you've been running around a lake, or you're about to jump on a plane and travel to Dublin. Let us know in the comments what you're up to. Stick your questions in there, running related, not running related. I've got 5 really big tips and interesting things coming your way. They're not running related, just as a heads up. And yeah, so that's probably about it, really. But yeah, I don't know. Funny, I've had a funny old week. I think, as you say, I think it's more because of my birthday.
That's it. Well, so it's nothing like getting off to a really buzzing start and everyone.
Yeah, so I've just brought everybody down.
Full of joie de vivre. You know, we're absolutely can't wait for the weekend. We're so up for it.
Buzzing.
You know, Al's definitely up for the weekend because he's been so busy. Brighton went pretty well, mate, didn't it? He must have been pretty pleased.
Well, just to kind of pick up on Chris's point, I reckon I've got 25 Christmases left. So that kind of just puts it in perspective, doesn't it?
Oh, well, that's only 6 World Cups.
Well, there you go. Life's nearly finished. But yeah.
God, we're going to depress. People are going to be running along thinking, oh, geez, I've come out to try and like help my mental health, not make it worse. Yeah. I mean, poor, but I think we should all apologise and let's restart. What do you think?
Just start again. Okay. Anyway, welcome everybody. It's
Because it's Ampu to everybody in Bhutan.
Yeah, the big news our first big news is that we are now the #1 sports podcast in Bhutan. Now, you
Massive.
might not know where Bhutan is. I'll tell you, it's in the middle of, it's between India and China. They love a hill run there because it's the
They love a
Himalayas.
hill. Speedgoat could live there.
Yeah,
you,
he'd
Toad?
love the game.
Well, not like that, 'cause he's
hello
injured.
to everybody in Bhutan.
Yeah, and Wilco, right, get ready because here comes, right, the 5 most interesting facts. Now, apologies to our friends in Bhutan who know this already, right? And so I do apologize because you know this, right? So you're probably chilling out, maybe climbing up a mountain, whatever, going to the monastery, whatever you're up to. But anyway, so for our non-Bhutan listeners, the 5 most interesting facts. Number 1, Al, I think this is really important for you.
Okay, I'm listening.
Is the only carbon negative country in the world.
Ooh.
Hashtag getting on a plane. Was isolated from the world until the 1970s. Right? That's important. There's no traffic lights in Bhutan.
Wow.
Yeah,
Well, that is a good fact.
The king abdicated the throne for democracy. Good lad. Happiness. Now, we know there's a lot of people out there, myself included, but you get dragged down by these people who try and bring you down. But we won't get dragged down because happiness in Bhutan, I'm moving there, prevails over GDP. They measure happiness over GDP, which I think is important. And, ready? Bhutan says no to plastic. So, Tobe, you'd have a problem because all your food, all your junk, all your Chinese takeaways, you wouldn't be able to have them in Bhutan.
What Chinese take? No, you're on the Chinese takeaway.
You'd be eating rice.
You had the whole shop.
And the last thing, which I think is the most interesting out of all of this, and I'm going there because this is a great job opportunity. They've only got 8 pilots that are qualified to fly to Paro Airport. So I'm going to become a pilot.
Are any of them called Roy?
Yeah, right. So there you go. There's 5 interesting facts. None of them related to running, even though this is the biggest running podcast in the world and in Bhutan. And yeah, globally, we've just spent 10 minutes talking about nothing to do with running. Sorry about that.
Absolutely. So shall we talk about running? I wanted to relay I wanted to talk to Al about his experience down at Brighton.
Should we go there again? Should go back to that place, yeah. No, I had a great time. Brighton Marathon, I've not run it before. I know we've talked about it on this podcast, particularly when it's managed to mess things up a little bit in terms of distances, but got to give it to them. 2 weekends ago, brilliant atmosphere, sun was out, really good day, really good weekend really. So really pleased to have ticked that one off of my first of 4 for the year. So,
and what about your performance, mate? Just over 4 hours? You must have been pretty pleased.
Yeah, it was. Chris will know. Training hadn't gone particularly well because it started late, and I wasn't even sure if I was going to run it as a full race right up pretty much to the last minute. So I went out with no real expectations. Would have been happy with just finishing really, maybe 4:30. Felt good on the day, and split it into thirds. So first third was our hanging on to the 4:15 pacers. Picked it up in the middle a little bit. Then you hit the power station. And I know lots of people find that really depressing because it comes just as you're hitting the wall and the crowds do dissipate. But it's not as bad as I imagined. But then you get through that and then it's kind of the race for home down the prom. And the crowds were just brilliant in terms of lifting you.
You talked about the other day, didn't you, about we were talking about marathon strategies and your friend who came up with this dividing your marathon into 3 lots of 14K, didn't you? So that's what you did. You followed that one.
So, yeah, I had a little wobble. I think I overdosed on carbs and energy gels. For those of you that like a drink, you might have kind of had those days when you kind of go, I don't understand why I got a hangover, and you realise you had 2 whiskies before you went out, a couple of red wines with your meal, then 6 pints and a gin and tonic before you went to bed. And you go, yeah, that's why. Well, I was a bit like that with gels. So I had my 4 Martians. I was taking active route at regular intervals. And then when they were handing out the high energy gels, I was taking those as well. So about mile 19, I kind of had a little bit of stomach issues. Not as bad as Tobe. It derailed me.
Well, it's never been as bad as Tobe, mate.
Having to visit the Portaloos, but it had an effect. And I think the lesson there for me was I didn't take on enough water, just pure and simple. Could have ditched some of the active route and stuck to water. But it brings me back to my point. It was in cups, and 90% of it goes over the floor. So, it might be environmentally friendly, but I still don't think it works from a runner's perspective.
I still don't know why they don't put it in them, like, you know what, you get that coconut water, and I drink a lot of coconut water, being 90% vegan, and you get them in them cartons, don't you? Them like paper carton things. I don't know why they don't put it in them.
I've also found an article that goes back a couple of years. I don't know if you remember, if you run the 2019 London Marathon, they had those disposable pods.
Yes, they did, yeah.
And they don't
seaweed, weren't they, Al, or something?
Yeah, they were made of seaweed. You could either swallow them, or a lot of people spat them out. And I was reading the article. The problem is, it's just price. For a small pod, it's twice the price of a bottle of water. So until that technology kind of brings the cost down, we are probably stuck with this problem of bottles versus
cups and all that.
And that was my only issue, really. I think had I not had those problems, I might have got close to 404, 405, which
still did a good job.
For a training run, pretty pleased with. So
yeah, he still did a good job.
We'll
and if that weekend wasn't busy enough, mate, then this weekend's going to be particularly busy, particularly tomorrow, Saturday, isn't it? What's going on?
Tomorrow. Oh, it's Parkrun Day.
Of course.
It's the normal Saturday. So, again, if people haven't followed it on the podcast or on the Facebook page, we've sent an advance party already over to Dublin. So there's 3 or 4 FORDYs already setting out camp. 40 of us will be joining from 3 different airports at least tomorrow morning, hitting River Valley Park Run in time for a 9:30 start. So
that's much more civilised.
Absolutely. It does mean getting to the airport at 4 o'clock for most of us. So whether I'll still be awake by the time Park Run gets going, I don't know. But looking forward to it. We've got our tour T-shirts, plenty of chatter already about what it's going to be like. And, there'll be plenty of, hopefully, posts on Facebook. And, Hayden and I will be recording the event for posterity. We'll be on
I'm hoping Laura Godfrey's going to be fit after Toby broke her at Hartford on Tuesday.
Yeah, but Karma, he's now broken.
Is he?
Yep.
Oh, Tobe.
Yeah, he's broken.
Tell us
Despite
about it, mate.
my advice.
What's that?
What's going on?
My advice.
Despite your advice. Well, that's something. There you go. I got a lazy calf, apparently.
No, you're lazy, and he said your calf's played up, is what he actually said.
No, lazy calf.
No, like lazy calf. He said you are lazy.
You weren't there.
Okay, I wasn't, but I can imagine the combo.
So what's the where he says the lazy calf then, Tobe? What's he mean?
So part of my left calf basically doesn't activate properly, which is then putting more work on the soleus muscle. I think that's the one, which goes down the side, sort of just below the calf and down the side to your ankle. And basically it's making that overwork, which is then.
This sounds like what I've got since he got me in them pair of Hockers.
No.
No, this is because the idiot goes out, runs 20 miles, and then goes and does a 13-mile run the next day at goal pace. That's because he's just got no brains. So and he does it in shoes that are too soft for him, that his mates have been telling him, but he still carries on and does it.
The new pros have arrived though. You won't miss me in them.
Yeah, but it's your own fault. You only got yourself to blame.
Normally.
Yeah, so we wish everybody who's heading off to the Emerald Isle for a bit of parkrun action in the morning. I hope you have a great time. We look forward to seeing all the pictures and hearing all about it. And eventually, I suppose, raising the bar and going somewhere else, going to Amsterdam or Poland or somewhere like that, I think will be the next stop.
No, Jersey's got to be the next one, isn't it? Because you can do Jersey in the day, can't you?
We've got Jersey to tick off, and then we've got a few unusual ones because of the alphabet. So we've got a couple of Y's and Z's that we've got to find abroad. So,
well, you go careful.
We've still got a little bit of tourism to do. So, we'll be reporting back from other places, I'm sure.
Okay, Chris, is there any other shout outs we want to give before we have a chat with Adrian?
I've got to be honest with you, I've got loads of shout outs, but we've got to give a shout out to our sponsor, Skechers. Big shout out to Skechers today. Funny enough, I put a video out, was it today, on Brooks, Wilco.
Oh, yeah. They're nothing to me, mate.
Yeah, I know you ditched them, like drop them, like see you later, straight to your nose, a Hoka point. No, but someone was saying about on I think it was the Brooks, about basically buying you're better off in the Skechers, the Max Row 5s. And I had about 4 or 5 comments, people saying the same things because they're lighter and they do just as good as the glycerin. Yeah, it was the glycerin video. So, yeah, big shout out to Skechers for sponsoring. If you've not checked out the running stuff, definitely check it out. And also check out, because I've got this like mint hoodie on today, but and stuff like that. But 100% recommend. What is it? Skechers.co.uk if you're here in the UK. If not, you're abroad, but definitely check them out. They've got some new shoes on the way. So, yeah, big shout out to them.
I just wanted to say hello to a couple of people. I want to say hello to Monica, my favourite osteo, who's going under the knife on her cruise ships. I actually saw her when I was out on my run the other day and didn't recognise her because I expected to see her on a pair of crutches and she was just walking her dog looking like nothing had happened.
Yeah, big
so
shout out.
I have apologised. I've sent my apologies for that. And also, I want to say hello to a guy I met on Stansted Road in Hoddesdon on Bank Holiday Monday. As I was running in a rare appearance for me on a non-match day of wearing my FORDY gear. And this guy came up, he was walking his dog and came up and said, "Oh, keep going, mate." He says, "Great podcast."
No.
And I carried on running.
You sure?
I forgot to ask what his name was. So I'm hoping that he's listening. If you were that guy about 2:00 on Bank Holiday Monday in Stansted Road, Hoddesdon, talk to the bloke who was sweating a bit because he'd done 8 miles and he had another 8 miles to go.
That's
Thank
awesome.
you very much for your support.
Awesome. We've got loads of questions and stuff coming in, and thanks everybody who's hitting us up on Facebook and YouTube if you're taking part live tonight with questions and stuff. Keep them coming in. Keep Al busy, otherwise you know what it's like. 7:30 he falls asleep, so keep them coming in, and then we'll tick some of those off after we've had a catch up. Wilco, with Adrian. Should we do that?
Let's talk to Adrian now, shall we?
Poor guy's been sitting there saying
Poor bloke's been there sitting, what have I put myself in for?
Yeah, all the people in Bhutan are going, what's going on here? Do you know what I mean? So, yeah.
So just to set the scene for everybody, Adrian is joining us. Adrian, 2 weeks ago, Adrian, was it?
Yep.
2 weeks ago.
Finished 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago was traipsing across the Sahara Desert to try and complete the Marathon Des Sables, which is hailed as the world's toughest race. 250 kilometres over 6 days. And they even made him do a 10K at the end, which I think is an absolute bloody liberty. But there you go. So we've invited Adrian on to have a chat about that, because I'm sure, although many of us couldn't countenance doing such an achievement, it's such an interesting sort of feat of human endeavour that I'm sure people are very interested about it. So I suppose where to start, Adrian, would be, how did you get yourself roped into this?
Well, yeah, I've been asking myself that for quite a while, and to be honest, partway through the event, I was thinking, how the hell did I get here? I'm surrounded by. I'm definitely a very average, certainly runner, and would never, a couple of years ago, would never even have thought about doing. Well, I was thinking about doing a marathon. There was alcohol involved. I won't lie. It was Christmas or just after, and I was chatting to a mate who both of us had gone to. They do an expo each year around Christmas time where you can go and see what it's all about, and they're pretty much doing a sales pitch to you and telling you anybody can do it, and all the rest of it. You get bored into that a bit. We had a few drinks and signed up about 14 months before the event, and of course that's ages, isn't it? So for about 8 months of that was fine, and then of course it's 6 months away or whatever, if the maths is right, and you start to get really scared.
So had you done any ultras before you went?
Well, I put a couple in the diary in the run up to it, because I kind of figured I can't just go from nothing to this. So I was over in Menorca actually last autumn to do an ultra there. They do something it's called the Epic 360. You run around the whole of the coastline of Menorca. It's 100 miles in 3 days. That went really well. In that I managed to get through day one. There was bad weather and they cancelled day 2 and 3. So I spent the rest of it in a spa hotel drinking with a couple of hundred ultra runners who wanted to do nothing but get completely and utterly trashed. That wasn't a great start to my ultra career. And then there's something called the Pilgrims Challenge down in it's Surrey Hills down that way. It's a 66-mile 2-dayer, which I did in February, and that was the only ultra really I completed before it. quite painful, that one. Surrey Hills. The clue should have been in the name. I'm a bit famous for not realizing how hilly the Box Hill thing was just unbelievable an experience. But yeah,
But
that was...
you fought your way through that. So what about your training then? Did you have a particular plan before you went?
So it was just really building up. It was ridiculous, I won't lie to you, by the end of it. And talking to the other people at the event, I probably did way too much because I was just obsessing with getting mile after mile in. So what I was trying to do was, it was mainly in the week, and I was doing morning and evening runs Monday to Friday. And back in January when I booked it, it was sort of 2 miles morning and evening, and just through the week, just keeping a constant, almost just running a bit tired. And then through the year, I was adding a mile or two to that each week to get me to sort of February time, where it was ridiculous, actually, looking back on it. It was 10 miles morning, 10 miles night, Monday to Friday. And then a bit of a sort of a rest on the weekend, except I did the long run on a Sunday. Somehow got through that without injuring myself. I wouldn't recommend that as a training. I'm sure there are better ways to train for it with less chance of hurting yourself. But it was just trying to get used to the idea that you're going to be absolutely knackered day on day, and you're getting back up and running in. Yeah.
You see, it's obviously, it's an eye-watering amount of mileage, isn't it? That you think, but there are so many, looking from the outside in, there are so many different considerations that you've got to have for a race like this, because there are certain rules that you've got to follow to complete it, aren't there?
Yeah, there's the running's actually only part of it. The big mistake I made, which learned the hard way, is you just can't run all of it. It's the desert. There are mountains. It's what I should have been doing, and if I'd known, would have been almost as much walking as running, and a bit of hill walking, and just actually doing it a bit more gently and not just throwing myself at it. But that sort of doing the distance is a small part of actually getting through the event. So it's self-sufficient is the problem. So you've got a whole list of mandatory kit, which is scary in itself. It includes things like you've got to have a snake venom pump, which isn't reassuring. A whole bunch of other safety gear, but you've also got to carry all your food for a week, your sleeping stuff, everything else in an ultra pack.
So what did you think? What were your thoughts like when you're on the start line?
I was looking around and thinking, I'm surrounded by people who quite obviously should be here. I'm not sure I'm in this. I should be part of this group. You compare yourself. You always do that on every start line anyway. You look around, don't you? And there were a lot of sort of younger, fitter people who'd quite clearly knew exactly what they were doing. And it's quite daunting, really daunting. But ultimately, the event itself is broken up, and you do it with every, all of us do it with every run, whatever the distance. If you're doing a half marathon, you're breaking it into whatever the checkpoints are or whatever else, and you do it with that. All you're really thinking about is, okay, it's day one. I know it's what was it then, about 22 miles or something. I can do 22 miles, so I'll just get through that, figure it out next day, and you just sort of take it through like that and work it through the checkpoints.
So the checkpoints were just at the end of the day, were there?
No. So there were. The bit you don't carry all of course, is water, because you couldn't carry enough. So that's the bit that's provided for you through the event. It's the only thing really that's provided for you. And the checkpoints are 10k apart on each stage. And you get either 1.5 liters or 3 liters of water at each one. And I brought props. This is how sad I am. But you get one of these, which is basically your water card to prove that you haven't taken too much. So it's ticked off for each of the checkpoints. Right.
So it's So there's a lot going on then. And how did you feel sort of like at the end of the first day? Because that must have been quite. Are there lots of people? Are you out on your own a lot, or are you quite congregated? Do you sort of like, are you able to run with different people?
I'd expected to be on my own, partly because I expected to be a lot slower than everyone else, and also because of the distance and the rest of it. You sort of assume it's going to spread out, but to be honest, with the rankings I got through, I was somewhere in the middle of the pack, and I was never really out of sight of other competitors. So that side of it was quite good, because certainly on the longer stages, you need to be able to interact with people. You know, it's hard enough without being stuck with your own thoughts for extended periods of time. As far as getting to the end of the first day goes, it was a sweet Lord, what have I got myself into moment, really. I mean, you know, it was what I thought at the end of the first day, this has got to be the toughest day ever. You know, it was, we were going through about half of it, maybe a third of it was sand dunes. There was all sorts of other terrain. It was blimmin' hot when you got into the sands, and I kind of got to the end. You're exhausted. You've got just about enough energy to cook food and fall into a sleeping bag before it gets dark, to be honest, because you just need to rest. And I went to sleep thinking, well, this is the shortest stage. I've got a long stage, which is 2.5 or whatever times this. I don't know how I'm going to get through this, you know. But as I say, you just keep breaking it down, don't you? So you've got to get up the next day and just, okay, I'm going to get through today. Don't worry about the rest of it. Just work it checkpoint by checkpoint. So it's not, not much.
Ian Wilson's just asked whether, you know, what about navigation? Do you have a map and a compass, or any sort of GPS gadgets? Or
so the course was marked fairly well, actually, but another prop is you get one of these road books which they give to you. You get off your charter flight into this, well, it's a run strip, it isn't even an airport, and there's a 4-hour coach ride to sort of base camp, and they give you the road book, which for each stage, it basically gives you a little bit of a map that there's no way on earth you could follow when you're actually, you know, the desert just looks pretty much the same, whichever terrain you're in. But it gives you compass directions between key kilometer points, so that, and the reason for that isn't so much that it's self-navigating. I mean, one of the mandatory items of kit is actually a compass, but it's the sandstorm issue. So if a sandstorm hits, the chances are course markings and the rest of it start to disappear, and you need to know broadly what direction to go in. So that's there as an option. Thankfully, it wasn't really needed, partly because I didn't lose sight of other competitors, and if there's lots of you, somebody at the front, hopefully
just follow the bloke in front.
It's the tried and tested method. Is just follow the next runner. It always works. What could go wrong?
So, on the whole, what was the worst thing that happened, and what was the worst moment?
The worst thing for me. So going back to what I said about pilgrims, and I always seem to find the hills. I have a pretty severe fear of heights, and I'd made this really stupid assumption that running through the desert's going to be pretty much up and down little sand dunes and, you know, basically flat. Not so, not at all. It's a landscape that's it's got the flat bits. You know, you've got salt flats that could be, you know, 7 or 8 miles wide. You can't even, it's almost going over the horizon. But it's into spots of, they call them jebels. They're somewhere, it's stroke mountain. It's somewhere between 500 meters to 1,000 meters high. And 3 of the days had them in. One day 3 in particular, I found out at the end of day 2 what it involved, and I went to bed thinking I don't know if I should quit, you know, before I start on day 3, because basically it was taking you across these ridge lines in between jebels that were just sort of vertical drops either side for kilometers. Scariest thing I've ever done in my life. If I'd known when I was signing up that was involved, I probably would have chickened out. But it's one of those things, isn't it? You're kind of at a point where you feel like, I don't want to quit, I'm going to try it. And once you've got yourself through it, it's the feeling of elation's unbelievable. You know, it's just, wow, I'm never going to do that again, but I did it.
So were there sort of, what about blisters, sunburn?
Oh, blisters,
sand,
blisters, yeah. Sunburn wasn't, weirdly, sunburn isn't really an issue because you're so covered up. You know, your hat's got these things on it to cover you. Very few people wear short sleeve stuff, and you're in between your socks and your shorts. You're only really, you know, there's small parts of you that are showing, and you're putting sun cream on. But blisters is a whole nother game. I was in the tent I was in. There were 6 people. At the end of day 1, 4 of them had 3 or 4 blisters, and they were there's a medical group called Doc Trotters who you go to, and they burst them, inject them with iodine, do something nasty, and wrap them up, and off you go for the next day. And through the so 4 people had blisters on the first day, just 1 or 2 each. By day 4, I was incredibly lucky. I didn't get a blister until the long day. But by that point, there were guys in the tent who had pretty much every toe bandaged up. And I have no idea how they were getting up and, doing the mileage. I had some bandages put on at the end of the long day, and all I had to navigate was the last day, it was a marathon distance, and that was bad enough. But it's just I think it's something to do with the heat. Your feet, even if you're in shoes that you don't normally get blisters in, you've got the gaiters on, which make your feet sweat. So with the heat, your feet changing shape, and goodness alone knows what. It's just everyone's getting them. Adrian,
I've got 3 really important questions that everyone wants to know the answers to. Firstly, it just blows my mind. Okay, so well done. But here we go. You ready? 3 really important questions. Al, are you still awake? It's 7:30. He always falls asleep at 7:30. So.
No, I just turned my mic off. You can't hear me.
Adrian, you ready?
Yeah.
Number 1. What was the bling like?
So I've got it here. Actually, it's for something.
It wasn't a wooden medal like Royal Park.
Oh, gee, I tell you what, there'd have been a revolt.
A bit of ribbon.
Yeah, wooden medals. No, it's a standardish medal. But at least it's metal. It's the.
Is it heavy?
Emblem. It's fairly heavy, but it's a normal size.
It's
not
Adrian,
dinner plate
I'm not
size.
being funny, right? Just for our podcast listeners, it's like just a normal thing. If I'd done what you've done, I would expect like a steering wheel tied with rope around it, made of gold, right? I think that's pony, that medal, considering what you've done. Second question. Do you get a T-shirt when you finish?
Yeah, I'm wearing it. So that's the finisher. Well, you get 2 actually. This is the finisher T-shirt, and there's something called the solid. That 10K you were talking about, which is a complete Mickey take. You finish the event, and then you've got to do a 10K the next day. You wear something called the Solidarity MDS top, which is a bright yellow one. Yeah.
Podcast listeners, it's a black and orange T-shirt. I would give it a 3 out of 10 based on what you've just done. Again. I've just run across a desert. I want Gucci or like Hugo Boss finishing T-shirt. Let me know in the comments. Please send emails in if you think the T-shirt should. Because like Adrian, right? You just like almost died going across the desert. The least they can do is wheel out some Hugo Boss for you. Do you know what I'm saying? Last question, really important, and I know everybody wants to know this. Did you build a sandcastle?
No. Lost an opportunity there.
Oh, that's all. I'd have got bored and started building sandcastles. But then again, I do have as I say, the intelligence of a 5-year-old.
We did. It doesn't quite. It's almost not. So we did remodel the tent a couple of times. The tents you stay in are Berber tents, which are basically a sheet with sticks, open both sides. Not great when it's windy or cold, and it was cold at night. We took it upon ourselves to decide we could design it better. Which resulted in it collapsing partway through the night, and so that's almost building a sandcastle.
Just one last question then, Adrian. I suppose it's one, and Kaz has asked it, and it's the one that everybody's asking. Would you do it again?
Yes.
2 weeks ago, definitely, absolutely, never, ever.
Yes.
Maybe one day.
Yeah, I tell you what. This is the best time now for the lightning round. Let's just absolutely finish him off with the lightning round. But I still can't get over how pony that medal was. I feel sorry for our podcast listeners, right? Because that, honestly, I like almost.
Well, if you paint the most underwhelming picture of a T-shirt and a medal, then you'll probably be there. So you can think about that while you run along.
BMW for finishing or something. Do you know what I'm saying? You just run across a desert or camel. Can't I give you a camel? Take home. You know what I mean? I think
going to keep it.
It's a bit strong, isn't it? They've just found them, right? I tell you what, they made them out of all the bits that people have lost during like the marathons over the years. They've just collected them up, melted them down, gone. Here you go. Have some of that. That's honestly, I tell you what. Now, Adrian, did you get a tattoo after you did it and said, "I've done"?
So I'm booked in next Tuesday.
Hey!
My
How did I
first
know
ever
that?
tattoo.
There we go. Got to be in it. Yeah. Whoever said better than Royal Parks? To be fair, yeah. But then again, this can of Coke's better than the medal you get at Royal Parks. Right. So should we do the lightning round? Who's doing it today? Al? You
I'm
going to do
back.
it?
I've got the
Al's the
questions.
king of the lightning round, mate.
King of the lightning round. Right. Go on in, Toke. Roll them titles.
Hi, Adrian. Welcome back. This is the line, and you missed an opportunity actually. When you were being questions about would you do it again, you really should have said, if I'd known I've had to come onto this, I wouldn't have even signed up in the first place, let alone think about doing it again. But anyway, the lightning round is me just firing some quick fire questions at you. Nothing tricky because you do know the answers, trust me. So just give me, as it comes, first thoughts that come into your head. So probably a tricky one given what you've just done, but is there anything left on your bucket list? And if so, what race is it?
It's the Ironman, which I'm doing in Lisbon in October.
So signed up, training for it. Excellent. Pre-race breakfast. We're talking normal races here, not running across the deserts.
Well, it's the same for both actually. Always porridge.
Cool. With toppings and flavours?
Yeah, but it's a weird topping.
Go on.
Peanut butter.
That's not weird. Favourite distance?
Half marathon.
Yeah, pretty standard for most. Favourite long run fueling?
Oh, Kendall mint cake.
Right. Favourite brand of running shoes?
Only A6.
All the time. Okay. Ketchup or brown sauce?
Brown sauce, of course.
Okay. Summer or winter training?
Summer.
Okay. Road or trail runs?
That's a tough one. It used to be always road, but to be honest, I'm turning into a bit of a trail freak these days.
Different community, different challenge. Okay. And your one song playlist? Remember.
My one song playlist?
Yeah.
Bohemian Rhapsody for me.
Anything Queen. We've had that a couple of times. And then final question. I don't know if you've heard about the Four Deserts race series, where in a year you're trying to hit the four toughest desert races other than the Marathon Des Sables. So I'm going to give you an option. Is it the Atacama, which is apparently the driest, or the Gobi Desert, which would be the windiest? Which one would you go for?
After the sandstorm, we had a 24-hour sandstorm on one of the days, so I'd go with the Atacama.
Okay, cool. Right, thank you, Adrian. Well done. Toby, run the credits.
Adrian's my
thanks
hero.
for that, Adrian. We've got loads of listeners in Mongolia, so maybe they'll be able to give us a few tips about running in the Gobi Desert. So if you're in Mongolia and you've had a little trek through the Gobi Desert, drop us an email at longrunshow@gmail.com and tell us all about it. That'd be great.
Yeah, 100%.
Adrian, thanks ever so much for coming on.
Legend.
Brilliant insight. Chris, we've got a bit of time left. I wanted to touch upon something that you brought up earlier about your stage of the marathon plan and finding it a little bit of a slog. I wondered if you had any advice for people of how to fight their way through it.
Okay. Well, I tell you what. We've got to get through the questions, so let's do this.
Yeah.
And then we'll come on to that, and then we'll do the questions because I'm conscious there was quite a few. Firstly, don't do what I'm doing and get depressed by it all. And let it mount up. It's funny because it comes at you at funny times and it comes at you at different angles. Sometimes even though I've been through the process numerous times, it still hits you for six when it does come. Wilco, I remember when you said it to me when you was doing your York training. The best thing to do is either reduce your miles and start doing different stuff. So whether that be, banging out quick 5Ks or, just mixing up your training somehow. Go along to a different park run, book a quick race local race or something just to switch you out of the monotony of Christ, I've got to run 50 miles this week, and having that, you know, always on your mind. Buy yourself something new. It's always cool. So, for example, Simon, he's just bought himself a new pair of Reebok shoes. The reason I mention it is because his wife doesn't know, so I proper dropped him in it.
Oh, brilliant.
So, Claire, yeah, they got delivered today. He doesn't listen live, so it's all right. I've got away with it. So, yeah. So get yourself something new. No, but again, it's like that thing, isn't it? It's just something, just to try and take your mind off the fact that you're just in the middle of that last bit of slog. I think you know by now, I always work in these rotations of going through the various distances, right, in cycles. And we're pretty much coming to the end of that period after the Vitality 10K, which is like in a week's time, whatever. Yeah. We basically turn the jets down in terms of ultimate speed and really pushing it, because after that, in terms of gains, what you'll make on your finishing time is very limited. So it's just trying to get through this week and next week for me and focus on that. But yeah, tip wise, just do different stuff. Like today, sounds funny, I did a different route. I had 6 miles on the plan, but I had no motivation to run that at all. So I rung the chairman and I ran 5.5 miles around a slightly different route that I would normally go. So I came off the river early, zipped round, and did that, and you know, and rung the chairman on the way. And you know, that kind of stuff kind of gets you out of the doom and gloom that you can find yourself into, because it is hard, right? Marathon training is hard, people. All right, don't forget that. Don't underestimate. I mean, what Adrian's is on another level, but you know, even half marathon training, you know, training for these long distance endurance events, even, you know, if you're trying to do catch the 5K, it's bleeding hard. And I think people forget that because we're kind of almost flippant about it. The fact that we're training for this and we're running this and we're doing that. Again, we're everyday runners, we're normal people, we're not elites. You know, we've got lives, we've got work, we've got commitments, and we're trying to do all this stuff. You know, I'm out there running for my reasons, as I said, spoke openly about it, because, you know, to make sure that I'm on the straight and narrow in terms of my mental health and all that sort of stuff, so I don't go down a rabbit hole. And you know, but people are out there for their own different reasons, and it's important to keep focused during that period of time when all the mileage catches up on you while you're doing it. And sometimes if you're running for a charity, it's a good, you know, if you're doing a marathon or half for a charity, and it's a good time to sit back and go, right, I'm doing this because this money's going to change, you know, a young person's life, or this money's going to help build a new hospice, or whatever the reason, right? So, you know, there's that to focus on as well. But yeah, just try and kick yourself out of it with something that will change the sort of I look at it, I think I've said it before. Think about a dog, right? Taking the dog out for a walk. I think I've said this before, and you take the dog out for a walk. He's like, all right, old tight, we're going out. Boss is taking me out, lovely jubbly. We're probably going to go down to the river, do a bit of a loop, come back. You come out, but instead of going right to the river, you go left. And he's thinking, oi, this is a bit lively. New smells, new things, comes back. He's had the best day of his life. See what I mean? It's that mentality. And I think you need to try and think a bit like that. Yeah. I hope that helps.
What other questions have we got, Al?
There's loads.
We've got a couple for Adrian. Obviously, these are coming, not obviously, but people may have noticed they're coming from Ian Wilson, who has been on this show as one of our Run Every Day heroes. So I think he must be thinking about it. He's already said it.
Just stop mucking about, Ian. Send all these questions in. Try to talk yourself out of it. Just do it. Adrian, a fair play, just tell him to do it, yeah?
Absolutely. Just sign up.
So stop mucking about. Just
cut-off times. How tough were the cut-off times each
day?
They
are really generous. That's definitely not an excuse to not sign up. So all except the long day, you've got 9 or 10 hours, which, considering it's 20-25 miles, that's, well, sounds easier than it is. But you can walk quite a big chunk of it, and there are people who pretty much walk the distance.
I'm on it. So this could be a good idea. How far is it, Adrian? How long does it take to get there? A couple of days?
To what? Get there from here?
Yeah.
You're not going on a camel, mate.
No, not on the camel.
You fly.
But how long's the flight? How long you got?
So they normally do it as well. They do it as a charter flight. So it's a plane full of the UK competitors going from Heathrow, Gatwick. It was 4 hours. there, and weirdly 3 hours back or something like that. Must be the
Do you
tailwind.
reckon we can get a plane where we can just jump out of the desert?
I'm thinking
skydive in, save the
I'm
4 hour
wondering if
coach
we could
journey.
skydive. Yeah, skydive down, smash the
Soft
desert out,
landing.
get your little pony medal and jog on. I think it's a brilliant idea. Could be the new triathlon. Sorry, carry on with your questions, Al.
Yeah, and then also wanting about your trainers. Did you manage to get through on just one pair, given that you had to carry everything?
You're definitely not taking a spare pair with the. You're trying to keep the pack down to, well, ideally 8 or 9 kilos, which isn't a lot when you've got a week's worth of food. So one pair. I was using some trail ones. That is a problem. So if they break, and one of the guys in the tent, his shoe, he was wearing normal road shoes. His shoes split on the long day down the back, and he had to run the last day pretty much with the sole broken. Which wasn't much fun.
What brand of shoe was that?
I think that was actually, bearing in mind what I said about so it was Asics as well.
Oh, Asics. Actually, if it was Brooks Wilco.
Oh, yeah, could have been, couldn't it?
And
wasn't Skechers though.
Touching on food, what did you take? How did you prepare? Was it all spaceman food, hydro packs?
It's all spaceman hydro. Yeah, there's a minimum 2,000 calories a day you've got to take.
So we definitely got to do it.
Which is just expedition foods I was using. The meals, the high energy ones are 1,000 calories each, so 2 a day. Pretty much did it with snacks, which was obviously you can't take chocolate and stuff because that will melt. So it was all sort of walnuts and dried banana chip type things.
Have we lost Al? I think Adrian. I think Al's actually gone to sign up. He's left.
Excellent.
See, this is the trouble because I had to, believe it or not, I tried to do a bit of research on this. We do a little bit of research when we have our guests coming on. And now, of course, I've got the website. It's on my phone. So now I'm just going to get bombarded with sign up job. And it starts a year ago yesterday. A year yesterday is your first day. So you've got 364 days to train if you fancy doing it.
Yeah, I think we'll get Tate to do it. I think 2,000 calories would destroy it.
I think getting someone else to do it is an excellent idea.
Yeah. I mean, Raymond Morrow, he's got I quite fancy this. The Nashville Marathon tomorrow. That'd be awesome. That would be amazing. The Nashville Marathon. I quite fancy the idea. Nashville Marathon. I'd like to do a marathon in somewhere like that, or New Orleans, somewhere like that. Would be awesome.
Yeah.
I think the music, think the vibe.
You just want to go there for the food.
What?
You just want to go there for the food.
Yeah. What do you think the vegan cuisine's like in New Orleans?
A bun.
Some reeds. You get some reeds. Hang on, I'm going down the stuff because we've lost Al because he's signing up for marathon.
Yeah, you're going to dig up some of the questions.
Oh, hang on. JBS. Big shout out, JBS. It's interesting because he's not here. He's gone. But Al mentioned these earlier. Morton want to charge me 32 quid for 12 gels. I've got a whole box of Kendall gels for the same price. What makes Morton? Well, firstly, Morton, because Kipchoge used them, they add 10 quid onto the price. It's natch, isn't it? It's the same reason Alpha flies are like $3,000 is because Kipchoge wears them. But that said, I do know people who've used them and really do get on with them. So, yeah, I mean, it's basically they're charging it. It's daylight robbery because they can get away with it because they know people to buy it. But in fairness to them, I do know people who have got on well with them. Although there's nothing wrong with the Kendall mint gels. We love them. Me and Toe like drink them for fun now. We don't have dinner anymore. We just have.
I noticed some empty Kendall mint gel packets as I was going down the towpath the other day. I hope it weren't you boys littering.
Not us. And isn't it Kendall that are on a serious point? Aren't they the recyclable ones they do? I think one of them is recyclable, but that's not. You should always take your
wrappers home, kids.
Boys, I have a question. Had my first marathon in Brighton, loved it. Passed 20 miles. It was very hard. Yeah, it's a marathon. Trained for 15 weeks up to it. Just wondering, how do I better the last 6 miles? More weekly mileage. Combination of obviously I don't know you as a runner, but it's more mileage always helps. But you've got to work on those in, like we said before, those lactate threshold running, bit more speed, that kind of stuff. That'll improve your overall fitness, your overall aerobic base, and you'll be able to.
That is a great question because that is me.
Oh, there we go. What, that was you that wrote that?
No, but that was my experience as well. That 20 miles was great.
You get that a lot. You get
And
that a
I
lot.
was,
People train.
I faded a bit in the last 6.
First marathon is natural. You're going there as a bit of a sighter. I wouldn't worry about it. Your next step is for you to try and look at your mileage, look at what you're doing with your mileage. So there is no junk miles, and you are narrowing it down onto, as I say, that sort of endurance-based speed work that will actually show up. You always find in a marathon that whatever training you've done, how your training's gone, will always show up at mile 20, mile 21. If you've not done enough miles, you're not done enough speed work on that sort of stuff, it will show up. If you've done maybe too much, it will show up as well, because your body will be wrecked, because you're tired, because maybe you've got your taper wrong. It's a great sort of litmus test, I think it's the best way to describe it. Cool. Kendall, do the refill pouch. Yes, Julie, you're right. I gave it. What video was that, Tobe? I don't think that video's out yet. I might be. There's a video out. Tobe turned up one morning because the guys at Kendall were kind enough to give that to him, and I gave it to him. And I was trying to get him to take it out with him, but he wouldn't, because he'd been miserable like usual. Al's back. Al, I'm just going through the questions because we've got loads. And I know you've gone off to sign up for Marathon Des Sables.
No, the nursing home turned the lights out, so now I've got to get up at 2 o'clock in the morning. But I've sneaked on the emergency generator.
I've done JBS's question. I'm going down now because there was some.
There's one about caffeine gel without caffeine, which I think Kendall do one as well. They get them with and without. So just be careful on your order.
Got to give a shout out to Mark Langhorn, who's doing 50th park run. Shout out, there was someone else who's doing it as well.
Handman's doing his 50th park run.
Yeah, tomorrow. There we go. Shoe questions, because I saw a couple of them.
Yeah, Rob Barnett wants to know about Pegasus 39 versus Velocity Nitro 2.
Velocity Nitro 2, definitely. Pegasus 39 is all right. I got 20 miles in them tomorrow. Not looking forward to it. Are they natural gels you would recommend? I have Crohn's disease, so I have to be careful what gels I try. Yeah, good point. I personally find if with gels, when I had a really sensitive stomach, the humor gels were the ones for me, because they were chai based, which is really easy on the stomach. And they are natural, they're vegan, and there was enough in them in terms of calories. The other one is obviously the Active Root, which is a ginger based product. So again, that's good on your stomach. And the Kendall ones are good as well, because the way they're built up is they're a more water based product. So the way it works is if it's more water based, it goes through a bit quicker, so it doesn't just sit there in your stomach like a big blob of sugar. So it's a little bit watered down, and with the mint element to it, because we know mint, sorts out gas and things like that. It tends to remove some of the I think I'll get it wrong, but the irritation that can be caused when taking that sort of product. So that's why the Kendall ones work for me, and they taste like the mint ones, like you just brush your teeth. What else? I'm trying to back these out because I'm conscious of the time. Recently started a physically demanding job. My running has dropped off. Right, okay. Now, this is an interesting question, Sarah, because I'm going to be filming a video tomorrow. He doesn't know it yet, but Russell's going to be talking about something along these lines. We're going to be doing a few tips on all this sort of stuff. How do I fit it all in? Feeling run guilt and worry I lose fitness. Yeah, you've just got to find a blend of what works and what doesn't work. Have a look at, I don't know if it's possible, but commute running. When I used to work in London, one of the ways I used to grab 3 miles was I used to get off the train early and run home. So whether you can park somewhere and run home, that's another way to think about it, is possibly fitting in miles by doing that. If you can sort of somehow commute run or things like that, I'll try and just have a look at your day and work it out. But yeah, don't feel guilty. Life's life, right? We only get one go on this rodeo, so just live it, right? So if life is taking over at the moment, then just go with it, and then your running will come back. So just don't worry about it. Right, what else? Anything else?
We got anything else, Al? We missed anything?
No, I think you probably picked them up while I was absent. So
yeah, we was worried about you, Al. We really was. Toad wasn't, but I was.
No, he didn't care.
He didn't care. He don't care about nothing. He
I'm
only cares about his lazy calf. I still don't get it. I'm going to Google that, a lazy calf. I think they're taking the mickey out of you, Toad. They saw you
can see
coming.
it doesn't activate.
What?
Half of it activates and half of it doesn't.
So what have you got to do then? Is he giving you some exercises then, or what?
Yeah, I got this sort of strengthening things.
It's that old chestnut, isn't it? Here's some exercises.
You never
Give
do.
me the 60 quid. Here's some exercises. I'll see you in another week for another 60 quid. It's that old one, isn't it? Oh, you got a lazy calf.
Definitely,
Yeah,
I'll tell you that much.
Calf raises, Toby. Just nice and
Yeah,
simple.
calf
Calf raises on the
raises.
bottom of the stairs.
I've got to learn to stand on one leg.
Yeah, that'll help.
Yeah,
And you got to get out of them really soft
And
shoes as well.
My new Pro 2s have arrived now.
Yeah, I know, and you've got to stop doing 13 miles after you've done 20 miles the day before
That was
at
all right.
goal pace.
I just wanted to ask Adrian a quick question. What have you got next? What's your next event?
Yeah, what's next, Adrian? When are we seeing you?
Well, literally the next event.
What you got in the book?
I've got a triathlon tomorrow down in Torquay and another one the day after in Wincanton. Try stuff. The next running event, serious one, is Hackney.
I'll see you there, bruv.
Are you there? Oh, brilliant.
Oh, yeah, we're there. We're smashing the life out of that. Well, we're not because we've got Edinburgh the next week, so we better not. But we are there. I don't know how many people are doing it in the group, Al. He's gone dark.
There's usually a few, though, isn't there?
How they turn the lights off in the home?
Yeah, saving electricity.
For anyone in the pod, Al's like, the only reason you can see Al at the moment is the reflection of his laptop on his glasses.
He's just doing a bit of carbon offset.
FORDY top on as well, isn't it? Because we wouldn't see it.
Yeah, he's just doing a carbon offset because he's using that plane tomorrow just to go for a park run. But we won't talk about that because I know people get irritated, right? But that's good.
Rita's going to be on his chase.
Hackney half. I'm looking forward to that. That'd be good. Let us know. Send an email into something.com if you're doing the Hackney half.
Yeah, we'd love to see your emails. We will get around to reading a few. We've got a bit of a clear bunch now because we did the email special for Good Friday. So please send your stuff to longrunshow@gmail.com. Any subject, we'll have a chat about it. We're quite happy to talk about all sorts of things. Running related, preferably, but not exclusively. We can talk about whatever you like.
Yeah, so if you want to build a sandcastle in the desert while you go for a run, just send us an email, show us a picture. We'd love to see pictures of your sandcastles. But just
build the sandcastle. You go for a run.
What's that?
So we know what Al's doing tomorrow. We know what Adrian's doing this weekend. What are you doing? 20 tomorrow?
Yeah, 20 tomorrow, but easy. In the Pegasus 39, so my feet are going to melt and they're going to kill me on Saturday. Then I'm heading to Southend for the weekend, and I'm probably going to have to get about 3.5, 4 miles down there, down the old Southend seafront. Hopefully the weather's all right, actually. It's not too windy. But yeah, so just finishing off really the mileage for that week, and then looking then forward. And I think it'll be good next week. We talk about it. Looking forward to it. It's about the Vitality 10K because we're gonna turbo. Well,
yes, because that's Bank Holiday Monday. There'll be a shed load of 40s going to that. Yeah. I'm not about next week.
Where Sabrina's are you? Coming you're golfing, aren't you?
I am, mate. I'm swanning off to the Algarve.
Oh, isn't it annoying? But yeah, we've got admin next week, haven't we?
Yeah, Sabrina's coming in.
Best
She'll make you behave yourselves.
Yeah, we're gonna have to.
She'll run.
Adrian, you've had a touch coming on this week, I tell you.
I think we've got a week of being told off next week. What do you reckon? It's now being told off.
I'm not getting told off.
I'll look forward to listening to it from the sidelines. Thank you very much, Tobin. You're doing the 20 mile. You're gonna go out on your own then.
He's not allowed.
He's not allowed. Might do a little 10K, something like that. I'll see how it goes. He's
not allowed. He's got a lazy calf.
That lazy calf needs to get off his backside and do some work.
He said to me, he can only run, right? This is what I don't understand, right? And if you're a physio or an osteo, right, can you email in at 40yearsadoctor@gmail.com, right? And tell us, right, if you've got some problem with your calf, why are they telling him? And I don't know, and I'm not digging anyone out here, but I'm interested to know. You can run 4 or 6 miles if you want. But that's what they told you, wasn't it, Tobe? You can
run a small distance.
Surely not. The sensible thing to do, right, is say take a couple of days off and rest it, right?
Put a bit of ice on it and crack on.
Get a bit of acupuncture, whatever they call it, dry needling, get on the problem, tape it up, let it settle down for a couple of days, come back and then go from there. What I don't understand that. What the sense of that is. I don't, Tobe, and I'm not digging anyone out. I don't get why they would say to do a little bit of running on it. Surely it would not be best to just let it settle down, no?
No, well, so they've done sort of massage and stuff like that. I've got to do ice and heat, heat apparently.
Heat on the meat is what they say.
A what?
Monica told me that.
Yeah.
So that's not me making it up, by the way. like usual.
Well, it's changed.
I just thought it was weird.
They're just saying to keep it sort of moving and activated.
Fair enough.
While strengthening it as well to try and then encourage the calf to activate. So
would it not be better to walk?
We'll see how it goes. I can walk.
Yeah.
It's basically seeing how it goes. So if there's a little bit of pain there, then it's keeping moving, but obviously don't push it too far.
Did they recommend eating a lot of KFC?
We'll see. No, they didn't actually.
Interesting.
His calf's going to look like a KFC drumstick, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about it. But what was weird, Al, weren't we? We were running behind him on
Saturday.
Yeah, and I'm being serious. You could see because I said to Tobe, is it your left hand leg? Because we could see in his calf exactly what that physio, whoever it is talking about. Because you could see it, couldn't you, Al?
Yeah, it looked like it was spasming a little bit.
Yeah.
In terms of, compared
we
to
could see it, and we're only 90% qualified as doctors.
Well, I'm sure
so there we go. Next week, await the next thrilling instalment of Toby's lazy calf.
He might not have a calf.
I won't be here, so I'll just be waiting with bated breath like the rest of you to find out what's going on. Thank you. First of all, as we wind up, I'd just like to say thanks ever so much for Adrian's coming on. It was a great insight, absolutely brilliant achievement, mate. We're very proud of you. Everybody in the club's very proud of you.
Huge.
I'm sure you're very pleased with all the great feedback and everything that people have, all the love that people have shown you over the last week.
Can I just say a thank you because I put a message out just before the event. I can't communicate with anyone, but they receive emails and they print them out for us each day. And I put a shout out on the group, and an unbelievable number of messages came in each evening. And when I was thinking through, I don't know if I can get through tomorrow, reading them made a massive difference.
Incredible. And that's lovely.
An immense amount of love in the group. So thank you ever so much to everybody who did that.
That means a lot, actually. That means a lot.
It's lovely. So next time when you run into the moon or something, then we'll have to get you back on and you can come and tell us about your next.
I think we should sign him up for a marathon in Bhutan. There's got to be one, isn't it?
Yeah, well, that's the job for the next couple of weeks, isn't it? We'll try and dig something up. Thanks very much for joining us, everybody. Thanks, Adrian, again for coming on. Cheers, Chris. Have a safe flight out. Everybody enjoy Dublin. Have a great time. If you're racing this week, enjoy it. I hope you smash your PBs. Have a great time. I'm at Panzanga Park Run tomorrow. I've got 20 miles on Monday before I go swanning off playing golf. So, you got to earn the right to play. So that's me. Thanks ever so much to Skechers for all their support for the pod. Big thumbs up for them. Remember, we're here every Friday, 7 o'clock, either on Facebook or YouTube. You can catch it live and see our ugly mugs on the telly. But if you'd rather not do that and you'd rather have it on a podcast and just listen to us belly aching on, then the best thing to do is to download us as a podcast, which you can do at Amazon, Apple, particularly if you're in Bhutan, to boost our profile there, and Spotify. So all your usual podcast places, we're all there. I won't be back next week. The boys will. Sabrina's in charge. She'll run a tight ship. So we'll look forward to seeing you then. Thanks ever so much for joining us again and have a great weekend. Please, mate.